Hi Angela, it's David. I'm hoping this finds you well because I'm using a different mode of, instead of the screener, I'm using a different function. So hopefully this gets to you well, and I can go over some of my sources with you. So as we've talked about in class, I am working with Christianity and the stereotype that there's a hypocritical and judgmental kind of side to Christians nowadays in America. And I want to look into where this comes from and how that happens. So my main question is that how does the way Christians act and make decisions, as well as what they believe in, affect the way people see them and aid in the stereotype that's been developed of them being judgmental and hypocritical? And looking at some of my sources, there is I'm starting to lean towards the sides where this comes from. This comes from the different decisions that happen in common America, such as abortion, marriage, and then just reading the Bible, what things Christians hold sacred, and what may appear to put themselves above others. So, my first source here is one written by editor after an interview with a cardinal. And this cardinal talks about the twistedness of the words of the Pope. And so the main stacies of this is cause and consequence and value. And so the value is they approach how the words from the Pope can be heard and what you can believe in rather than what people have taken out of context from him. So pretty much the value of the words that you see in the media, and whether you should trust the words. I mean, obviously you can trust it if it comes straight from the Pope, but in the media, whether you can trust it or not. And then the cause and consequence being that if you do trust words that are from the media that are wrong, how it can make a false type of stereotype of people who follow this predominant leader. And yeah, so my next source kind of goes on the opposite, or kind of just talks about the cause and consequence. It's talking about the victory of same-sex marriage rights in the United States and how they will have the same rights as a normal married couple. And throughout this, they talk about the cause and consequence of it. Kind of at the end here, changes being proposed serve as potent reminders why simply to lie to say that redefining marriage doesn't affect everyone in society. And then throughout this, there's a cause and effect from both sides of the spectrum, how allowing this marriage to happen provides the gay marriage, with an opportunity to have the same rights, as well on the other side of the spectrum, people who are married and wish to retain marriage between a man and wife hold that differently. And so the cause consequence of this bill passing. Another source that I'm going to be using is Nature of Biblical Criticism, this book by John Barton. He faces he looks at different biblical criticisms. The book's about biblical criticism and how changes happened over time, but there's also lots. I haven't gotten specifics yet, but inside this book there are examples of how Christians act within society and how society has criticized the Bible and Christians. Some stacies that arise within this book. There's just a value of what the Christians hold true, whether their belief on many different societal issues is correct, and whether we should believe it that way. And so that's that. And then, of course, I would be foolish if I was going to going to write this paper without using the big book of the Bible, which many Christians look to today for guidance in many of their decisions and how they act. And so throughout the Bible, there's many different sources written calling out value, how people approach and calls to people's values, whether they're okay or corrupt. And so it also leads to cause and consequence when they talk about the different values and how people value different things and what will happen. So I'll look deeper into the Bible to find specific verses to help support that. And finally, a little bit of popular culture. This is a rapper, Lecrae. He's a Christian rapper, so a lot of his songs are based on Christian morals and how we should be acting in current society. So many of the different things. There's one song called New Reality that talks about the lukewarmness of Christians. So it calls to the value of Christians on whether they're living for God or kind of in the middle, trying to be a part of society while still saying they believe in God, which causes a stereotype of hypocritical, being hypocritical because sorry, I lost my train of thought. But anyways, it causes him to look hypocritical and cause other Christians. So he calls out that you should not be lukewarm, but you should be fully devoted to God. All right, yeah, and then so back to my research question: how does the way Christians act, believe, make decisions in this world affect how people develop stereotypes of them being judgmental and hypocritical? All right, thanks for listening.